Every time you break a promise to yourself, your brain updates who it thinks you are. Not because you're weak, not because you're lazy, but because your identity is shaped by your evidence. When you say you're disciplined, but your actions keep proving the opposite, eventually your brain stops believing your words and starts believing your pattern. This video is for the person who knows what to do, but then negotiates in the moment. You plan the exercise, then negotiate. You plan the workout, then negotiate. You say you're gonna stop doom scrolling, but it's been 40 minutes later. And the painful part is not actually the missed habit. It's actually the loss of self-trust with yourself and the quiet words you tell yourself afterwards, like, why can I not do this? Why can I not follow through? And that accumulates. So this video goes over how identity and discipline is not just about effort. It's more specific about how ego protects that identity and how ego is not the enemy here, but sometimes it's just protecting an outdated version of yourself. So in this episode, we're gonna go over 3 things today. Those 3 things is how identity sets your standards. Second, how ego protects that identity. And third, how actions become evidence and evidence becomes self-trust. Okay guys, we're gonna jump straight into this. Your identity is not just what you say about yourself. It is the standard you keep returning to. A lot of people treat identity like a label. I'm disciplined, I'm ambitious, I'm a hard worker, but labels are cheap. The real question is what standards come with that identity? Because if there's no standard, the identity is just a sentence. This is the loop we're gonna go through. And the examples here is that identity equals a standard you keep returning to. Okay? So if I say I'm a runner, but I only run when I feel perfect, that identity is weak. If I say I'm a creator, but I only create when the motivation is high, that identity has no structure. If I say I'm disciplined, but everything else is still a negotiation, then my discipline is not identity yet. It's just a mood. So identity is the role, standards are the rules of that role. Now, in simple terms, like a disciplined person doesn't wake up every day and ask, should I be disciplined today? They already know what type of person they are trying to be. So the action has less room to be negotiated. So here we have the courtroom for a metaphor. Okay, your words are the argument, your actions are the evidence, your identity is the verdict. Okay, you can tell yourself I'm disciplined, but if the evidence keeps showing skipped workouts, broken promises, and emotional decisions, the brain doesn't care about the speech. It looks at the evidence. This is why one missed day is not the issue. The issue is when missed days become the evidence your brain uses to decide who you are. This means the goal is not perfection. The goal is the evidence. You don't need to believe in yourself, okay? You don't need to believe in yourself first. You need to give yourself enough evidence that belief becomes reasonable. So moving on, that to ego is not the enemy, it's the protector, okay? Your ego is the part that says me. It protects whatever self-image you currently believe. Most people hear the word ego and think ignorance, but ego is deeper than that. Ego is the part of you that says me, right? It is the part that protects your self-image. So when your self-image is fragile, your ego becomes defensive. When your self-worth is built around proving yourself, your ego becomes based on performance and protects performance. When your self-image is built around comfort, your ego protects comfort. But when your identity is built around values, purpose, and standard, your ego can actually become very useful. So it starts protecting alignment. So a lot of people, are protecting an identity that was built by their environment, not chosen. Maybe it's identity of being the responsible one, right? Or the smart one, the strong one, the nice one, the one who doesn't need help, the funny one, the one who always keeps everyone together, the one who never fails, and the one who has to prove they're capable. The problem is when they stop being chosen and labels start becoming cages. Because your ego will defend that identity even when it's costing you growth. So, like I said, if you identify as a smart one, your ego may avoid situations where you look like a beginner. If you identify as a strong one, your ego may reject help when you need support. If you identify as the responsible one, your ego may help keep saying yes until you burn out. If you identify as the one who must prove themselves, your ego may turn every setback into a threat to your self-worth. That is why ego work matters. Not because the ego is evil, but because ego may be protecting an identity you never consciously chose. Your ego protects whatever you identify with. If you identify as someone who must always be right, your ego will attack feedback. If you identify as someone who can't fail, your ego will avoid hard things. If you identify as someone who is trying to grow, your ego can finally relax because mistakes are no longer threats, they become data. Moving on to loud ego versus quiet ego. A loud ego protects image, a quiet ego protects alignment. Here we see, a loud ego is I need to be right, I need to look good. What can I learn? And then the quiet ego is what can I learn from this? What is the standard? It's the loud ego protects a person who you thought you were. A quiet ego starts protecting the person who you are in alignment to and are working towards. It's the act of becoming. So a quiet ego is what makes this whole process of this series possible. This is just a simple understanding that like a quiet ego just allows you to do your work, but a loud ego, even though the word loud is ironic because the thing is it's loud in the sense that everything feels a little bit more personal, a little bit more reactive because of the fact that the questions are like criticism is an attack, discomfort means stop. These are things that seem like almost as if it's the right thing to do because we are looking at the wrong identification of the labels of what the environment has given us as an identity. But a quiet ego prevents that from happening. So moving to my own example, for me, I've been seeing this in trading, business, and even YouTube. When my identity was too attached to proving I was capable, mistakes felt personal. A loss wasn't just a loss. A bad video wasn't just a bad video. It felt like evidence against me. But when I started shifting the identity from I need to prove myself to I'm someone who studies, adapts, and keeps showing up, the ego has less to defend and I could look at the data without attacking myself. This is why ego work matters for discipline. Because if your ego is protecting the wrong identity, every hard action will feel like a threat. The goal is not to destroy your ego. The goal is to protect your standards instead of your excuses. So here, self-trust is built when your actions repeatedly match your standards. When you say one thing and then do another thing, your mind feels the gap. The gap creates friction. You say, I value health, but then you keep disrespecting your sleep. You say you value growth, but then you keep avoiding the uncomfortable work. You say you value integrity, but you keep breaking your own rules when pressure hits. Your brain has two options. Either you change your behavior to match the identity, or you lower the identity to match the behavior. This is where people lose themselves quietly, not in one dramatic moment, but through repeated small negotiations. Every action is either evidence for the person you're becoming or evidence for the person you're trying to outgrow. This is where boundaries come in. Boundaries are not just about saying no to people. Boundaries are how you protect your identity from leaking. If you say I'm a creator, I need a boundary around creation time. If I say I'm disciplined, I need a boundary around my distractions. If I say I value health, I need a boundary around sleep. If I say I value focus, I need a boundary around my phone. Boundaries are an act of creating a guardrail with yourself and the outcome that you're looking for. It is very impactful and very simple. The way I personally go about it is that I create a time that I say I'm going to do something, and then I don't let any other distractions come in that moment. And for that time, I'm locked in and focused on that one thing. If I do let distractions come in, why did it happen? And it's just a constant repetition of, okay, I did this happened. Okay, what can I take from the next time I do this so that that boundary gets stronger? Because a value without a boundary is just a wish. So now the action I'll leave with you guys, it comes down to this. It's I'll ask you to write these 4 lines. I'm becoming someone who, identity. That means I no longer negotiate with a one behavior or an excuse or an old pattern. The standard I will protect is a clear standard. The evidence I will collect today is one action. So an example for this is right here, is that I'm becoming someone who follows through calmly. That means I no longer negotiate with doom scrolling before work. The standard I will protect is one focused work block before entertainment. The evidence I will collect today is 45 minutes of deep work. So now my personal example is I'm becoming someone who wins by system, not excitement. That means I no longer negotiate with emotional execution. The standard I protect is one high quality decision at a time. The evidence I collect today is following the rule even when I want to break it. So once you do this enough times, discipline stops feeling like force. It starts feeling like self respect. Self-trust is not built by thinking highly of yourself. It is built by watching yourself follow through. So now, tying it all together, this is the loop that we're trying to aim for. The identity, the standards, the actions, the evidence, and then the self-trust. Master the cycle, master your life. So this is the real loop. When that loop is broken, discipline feels heavy. Everything becomes a negotiation. But when that loop is aligned, discipline becomes cleaner. Not easier, cleaner. What kind of person this creates? You become someone who doesn't need to feel motivated to act. You become someone who respects the standards because the standards protects the person you are becoming. Why this compounds is that over time, the proof starts stacking. One standard, one promise kept, one moment where you didn't negotiate. Eventually, you stop needing to convince yourself that you're disciplined because your life starts showing you. You build the evidence. It's the courtroom example, right? You don't become disciplined by winning every day. You become disciplined by collecting enough evidence that you're no longer the kind of person who quits on yourself. So in the next episode, we're gonna go talk about uncertainty, variance, and emotional regulation. Because once you build an identity, life will test it. The question is, can you protect that identity when pressure hits? That is it. That's episode 4. Like and subscribe. Comment what standard you're choosing to protect this week. And thanks for watching. If you do like this loop, I can go ahead and add it as a document to copy. And I'll see you all on the next episode, guys. And I hope this all helps you. Take care and have a good one.